giving up 69% in the second half is not going to cut it. And we would have liked to gone into halftime with a 6 to 8 point lead. I think that we didn't embrace their pressure. When they built out their pressure a little bit, it put us on our heels instead of taking advantage of it. Turned their strength into a weakness. You know, we were up down 2, but we thought we could have been up 6 to 8. Second half, you know, their talent was impressive, and I don't think we responded real well. The good thing is that if they were in our league, I could, you know, safely say that maybe they'd be the best team in our conference. And so it gives us some understanding of where we stack up and what we have to do to be successful going forward.
You'd won 5 in a row. Was there any regression in this game, or was this?
You know, I think, Keith, you look at the tape and then you figure that out. You know, a lot of it has to do with the level of competition. You know, you win 5 in a row, but we didn't play Ole Miss every night. So you can play well and lose, depending on your competition. You can play poorly and win. And so we learned from it. And one thing I learned from Dean Smith, Keith, is, you know, you don't make too many comments after a game until you watch the tape. And then you pass judgment on how you performed. Yeah. And then cooler heads prevail, and you don't want to make a comment and then look at the tape. Like we lost to Riverside earlier this year. We played very well. Then we beat McMurray on the road, even though it's non-D1, we played terribly. Yeah. So, you know, you want to evaluate the performance, not the results, and hopefully you continue to get better.
Papa Dia had such a strong first half. Was it something they did in the second half? Or?
I think when they went zone, they played more zone, yeah. And as a result, it's a little bit more difficult to get the ball inside to Pop. And so when he got it, there was a little bit more of a crowd around him.
Yeah. That's something y'all have to work on some more.
Yeah, we've worked on it. We've worked on it and tried to, you know, we shot 44% in the second half from the 3-point line, so that was a little bit of our counter. And you know, Pop's a willing passer, but they're big. They're big. They're big and strong, and they've got depth. You know, everyone's talking about Chris Warren, but one of my favorite players on that team is probably you know, Reggie Buckner. You know, he only had 6 points, but boy, is he a pretty talented kid.
Obviously, a tough night tonight, but overall in non-conference, you know, heading into conference play, how do you feel like non-conference went for you guys?
Good. Before the season started, my goal was to be, you know, have at least 10 wins, you know, 10 to 12 wins, you know, as you want to win them all, but then you objectively, I said, okay, I want 10 to 12 wins. You could always, you know, a couple of games here, like the Arkansas Little Rock game, we're up 9.5. You know, game at Louisiana Tech. So we're not far off. And now we get ready for conference play. I can't believe it's already January 5th.
You've said a couple of times this year that this is a team that's going to rely pretty heavily on the 3. With the numbers that Pop put up in the first half, was there a concerted effort to go inside more?
We always want to go into Pop because if he draws a crowd, we feel like we've got shooters around him, and he's a willing passer. And so, you know, if he's not double teamed, we kick it out to open shots. So hopefully we have a healthy balance. He had 10 shots. Robert had 14. Pop, you know, had really more than 10 because he got fouled. But he didn't make his foul shots at the clip we're used to, and I think 6 turnovers is a little too much for him. So, you know, not that would have won the game for us, but going into half, maybe we would have had a little bit more of a lead. And again, they're, you know, I'd put them up against anybody in our conference. They're a good team.
Matt, when a team shoots 69% in the second half, I mean, you can point to your defense and say we didn't play very well, but didn't it have something to do with how well they played defense in the second half?
How well they played defense, but I think also they're good.
Right.
You know, you know, take away Chris Warren, Terrence Henry, talented player, long, athletic, can shoot a face-up jumper, can post up. Buckner, already talked about. I mean, he's a beast inside. And then you have guys like Nick Williams and Zach Graham. And then when Nelson gets healthy, you know, then they have backups like, I mean, not Nelson, when Gaskins gets healthy, I mean, they got guys that can score at every position. And it's, you know, it's like Noah's Ark, they got 2 of each. So they can afford, one thing that they do, they had a lot of guys foul out, you know, but it really doesn't matter because the guy coming off the bench is almost as good. Right. And Andy does a good job. They're organized, they play hard, they're sound, they change defenses, they're patient. You know, it helps having a senior like Warren and a senior like Zach Graham.
You talked a little bit earlier about the level of competition of some of the other games. Obviously, you don't like to ever lose, but is it good to have a tough night like tonight going into conference?
No. I like to win. You know, it's stating the obvious. You like to win, but I still think, and hopefully there's a lot of positives to take away from this. Again, this probably, you know, you can make a case it would be the best team in Conference USA. Okay, we can spin it and look at things and say, we could have maybe won this game if we did A, B, and C. And that's our job as coaches, to make sure we learn from the mistakes, teach the kids, and that we get better. We wanted to come into this game and get better and win the game. Well, we'll see in watching the tape if we got better. And if we didn't, we'll learn from the mistakes. As simple as that sounds.
You know, without looking at the records, is this team where you want to be going into conference, play-wise, and knowing the office and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I would like for a consistent third scorer to emerge. That would help because I don't want to put so much pressure on Pop and Robert, and that's a big part of our offense. If we execute our offense, then shots will come up for other guys. You know, Justin one game will have 17, and then, you know, he might not score. And to Justin's credit, he was sick the last 2 days. He had a bug and didn't practice. But, you know, I don't think that would have made a difference. But we need somebody to be a consistent third scorer for us, whether it be Rodney, you know, Mike, Justin. You know, it help us going forward. We announced today that Aliaksei Patsevich will be eligible to play on the 26th. He's that third scorer, 6'4", 6'5" guard who can really shoot the basketball, shoot over people, and it'd be tough to shoot over him. You know, that's a little bit of our problem. We don't have the depth at the 4-5 that I thought we would have going into the season because 2 guys weren't cleared by the NCAA. And then, you know, Loesch gives us more size in the backcourt. There were a couple of plays where, like, Gaskins just dribbled and shot right over Jeremiah. You know, he was in position, put his hand up, but Gaskins just looked over him. So we need a little bit more size from the guard spot and some depth at the 4-5. So Loesch will give us some help. Unfortunately, he won't be eligible until the 26th.